guys, so we're gonna take a look at this seat cover off the 300EX. As you can see, it's not on real super tight. It's kind of loose everywhere. Feels like there's something underneath. So the gentleman I got it from said that he didn't have a pneumatic stapler, so he used a hand stapler. Obviously, all right, so it looks like the old cover is still under it. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull all these staples out. We're going to take the old cover off, and then we'll go ahead and get the new cover, or this cover here, re-stretched over the foam and get it stapled down. That way there we can save this cover and get it nice and tight and make it look nice. So the main thing is we don't want to damage the new one any more than it already is. So you want to be real careful about pulling the staples out, because you don't want to really tear that. You don't want to tear the material. So we just want to be real careful getting these out. And then it's super important once we get down to the original seat cover that we try to remove as much of the staple head as we can. So I'm going to get all of these staples out, we'll take it off, and we'll come back for the factory cover. Okay guys, so we got the old cover, the new cover off, and this is what was under that cover. So this cover is actually still in really good shape. And we have a 250X that needs a seat cover, and they're the same seats. What I was gonna do is just put this seat over on the 250X and take the 250X seat off, and put the cover that we just took off of this on it. But as I got to looking real close, it does have some pinholes here in the edge, or in the center right here, and a little bit off the edging, but it's super slippery. And if we're going to set this up for trail riding and some hare scrambles, it needs to have that gripper material so that you're not constantly trying to hold on to the bike. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take this seat cover off and then put the other one on. So the important part when you go to take these off is not so much getting the cover off, but you want to try to get all the remnants of the old staples out for two reasons. One, it'll cut the new seat cover. Two, when you go to staple it, sometimes the edge of the staple will catch part of the other staple and it'll kick it sideways, and it can possibly ruin a new seat cover. And over time it'll just start to pull and it'll start to rip that seat cover. So we're going to go ahead and get this one off. If the staples, sometimes they're going to seem a little stubborn, but you're not really going to hurt the seat pan much. You just take a small screwdriver, doesn't have to be, you know, anything special, and just get up under the staples themselves and just lift them up and out. And a lot of times they'll come right out super easy. Just be careful, don't stab yourself in the thumb or anything crazy like that. But we're going to go ahead and get this cover off and try to get the old staples out, and then we'll get the new cover on it. Okay guys, so once you get the old one back off, we've already got the one that we're going to reuse wrapped up over the top here. So the very first thing that I do is I come in and I just want to staple the front just to hold it down so that I can pull it tight. Then I'll turn it over. Now, what this does, so this seat cover here with the grabber material, it's super stretchy. So it's almost like a rubber. So what I want to do is I want to pull it taut just enough to where it bows up at the top, right here at the curve of the seat. So you'll see right here, the seat comes down and curves like this, like so. But what I want to do is I want to pull this back because all of this material stretches. And the tighter you can get this, the better it's going to look. And so all I want to do is come around, put a couple of staples in the back just to hold it so that I can stretch it. And at this point, it doesn't really have to be perfect, because what you're doing is you're giving you somewhere to work from. So now that you're tight, always remember, anything you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So what I always like to do is go from the center of the arch, and I'm going to pull down. Now you can see when you stretch it, how that comes down into a real nice radius right there. And you can tell whether or not it's separated, or I'm sorry, not separated, but it's centered or not. So once you do that, once you just got it kind of, just grab the edges here, you want to pull down like this. Just tuck it under. So we know where this one is here. So that one's going to come loose just a little bit. We just want to set it. Pull the other side and set it as well. So now, as you can see, where we had some previous damage on the seat cover we took off, because it was loose, we're able to actually pull the seat cover tight around any of that damage. So we'll be able to actually come in, pull this tight, and staple here, staple here, here, any place that there was a previous split. So we're just going to flip it back over. Let's see now how we've only got two staples in it, but you see how it's starting to take the form of the foam. So now we're just going to do the same thing. Now remember, always pull down and back, and that'll keep the wrinkles out of the front. So remember, anything you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Then as you start getting a little further to the back, again, back, you want to pull back and down. And set it. And then back and down on this side. And set it. Now all of a sudden our seat cover's not loose. So now what you do is you're going to start from the front, and you'll just start pulling it in and tightening it up and then stapling it. Again, anything you do on one side, you do on the other, and that's just to keep it centered. And then as you pull down, it'll continue to tighten that cover up. All right, so I'm going to finish getting this pulled down and tightened up, and we'll show you what's going on afterwards. Okay guys, so we've got the cover stapled back on. So we've got all new galvanized staples. They shouldn't rust. Once we pull it straight, I went ahead and cut off a bunch of extra material. There was probably 1.5 inches of extra material. Once we finally stretched it over, it came out super nice, really tight. And I think this right here is going to be a seat cover that's going to last for a while. So guys, even if you guys have already done a seat cover and it starts to get loose, wrinkling, you can follow this same process to just simply tighten up your seat cover. You just got to be really careful pulling out the staples that you don't damage the material underneath. So if you're real careful pulling the staples, use a very small screwdriver just to pry up the edge of the staple. It should come right out. And then of course the same steps still apply. Is you want to come in at the arch and pull it down straight, and everything that you do to one side you do to the other. So for those of you that have done your own seat covers and it's starting to get loose, this is a great way to tighten it up and give it a much cleaner look. So we're going to go ahead and clean the material on this, and then we're going to kind of focus on the rear fenders, since on the Hondas the seat does mount to the rear fenders. We're going to go ahead and get those cleaned up, get some of the stickers off, and kind of assess some of the damage over on the exhaust side, see what we can do to remedy that, and then we'll just keep moving forward. We've got parts on order for it, so there's going to be a lot of good stuff coming on it. So we're going to go ahead and get this mounted and get the fenders cleared up and see what we can do from there.